The next player to don the sash is Darcy Parish.
It's time for all Essendon supporters to stand up together at our first home game for the season. Saturday, April 2nd against the Demons at the MCG. Be there.
Well, Shorey, the Bombers made a slow start against Gold Coast, 10 scoring shots to 1 in that first quarter. Where was it sort of going wrong for them?
Well, not so much going wrong. I think they had a decision to make, and one of those decisions would have been, let's be in the game at quarter time. Now, there's two ways of doing that, being ultra defensive, hard man on man, a really strong press, keep the pressure on them, or what it looked like on TV to me was that the team pushed back deep. You know, a little bit of protection for Brown in his first big game against Day. Obviously, Ambrose had a huge job to do on Lynch. It just looked like they gave the space to the Gold Coast boys off half-back. Rosa had 11 on the wing, May had 8, McKenzie had 8, Sard had half a dozen. So by trying to defend, they actually gave the ball to those key distributors that we talked about last week. So I can understand it because one of the key goals, let's be in the game at quarter time, and it didn't work out despite the first goal of the game by Zaharakis.
Even things up slightly in the second quarter, but then pretty good in the second half, albeit 6 goals to 4 still. Where did the Bombers sort of improve?
It looked like they maintained a forward structure. I really felt for young Langford. With McKernan having a quiet day, Danner had his work cut out with May. It really did fall on Langford to provide a hit-up centre-half forward, and like he's been developed as a midfielder this year. It was a tough job for him, but they looked like they maintained a forward structure, and that's where you saw Stokes coming into the game and getting opportunities like that, and it actually put a lot of pressure on that half-back line of the Gold Coast. Gold Coast had one game plan: quick movement, get the ball to Hall, get the ball to Ablett, but once they cut that out, by going back to what looked like a 6-on-6 forward line versus back line, it really improved the competitiveness of the team, because one thing you can't do with Gold Coast is allow them space. They're the masters of space.
What did you make of David Zaharakis' performance?
He was magnificent. He really was. I've met the young fella once, found him a delightful young man. Look, he was I'm not being negative anyway. He was an early favourite for mine for the captaincy. I just felt that he's just a passionate Essendon young man. He's been overlooked for leadership groups in the past. He's been put onto the leadership group this year. It just shows sometimes you don't need the captaincy label alongside you to be a leader. He was a magnificent leader, and that flowed into his football.
A lot of the talk in the lead up to last year's draft for Essendon was whether it would be Darcy Parish with that first pick or Clayton Oliver. They both had pretty impressive debuts, and they could match up against each other this weekend. What did you make of Darcy Parish and just the first round? Those top picks all performed so strongly.
Look, he did. That was an exciting part. You had the experience of like the Zaharakis story matched by the debutant. It was a great weekend for debutants. Wiedering, Mills, Shackey, Parish and Clayton Oliver at Melbourne. It was the top 5 draft picks. So it was a really encouraging performance. I know the Essendon people just loved his game, but let's just temper it a little bit with the fact that it's his first game. He's 18. It's going to be a long season for him, and it'll be a real learning experience for him. But loved his work rate. His appetite for the football was fantastic. A little bit of work to do on his kicking, and he'll learn to run. He'll learn to spread. So it was a great debut for the young man, and really looking forward to, I'll have to give Roosie a ring, I think, and say, come on, son, you're going to get Brayshaw back and all these blokes. Let's have a Clayton Oliver versus Darcy Parish shootout.
So as an Essendon, if you're on the Essendon coaching staff, what would you be focusing on this week at training to get them right for the Melbourne game?
I think the first thing they would have done, go back to the hotel and have a look at themselves first. Everyone says, you've got to review the players. Review yourself. How do we go with selection, right? What do we learn from that game? Because it's constant learning, and the feedback they give each other will be relayed to the players. So they've got to be very honest with themselves, right? Did they get the Ambrose right? one right? Should they have played Hartley? Did we give enough support for our forward line so we could go in long? Should they have played Grimley? They'll assess that. And then they'll assess the blokes that are a little bit underdone. Is Grimer ready to go? Is Laverty ready to go? So the good thing about this team, the glass half full, is there are options out there. And I think the longer the season goes and the more settled the side becomes, it's going to develop into a very, very encouraging football team.
We've touched on David Zaharakis' leadership. What about some of the other experienced guys like Brendan Goddard, Matthew Stokes, James Kelly? What do you make of their performance?
Well, they're going to be really important. That core group, Kelly, Cooney, Stokes, etc., the ones that you've named, they're going to be really important for direction. I don't expect them to be 3 voters every week, but they're going to really got to stabilise. They're going to get better as the year goes on. A, because they haven't played together. They've come from different clubs. B, they're a little bit underdone. Some of them are underdone. They're going to get better. But the stable effect that they can have on the development of those young players is going to be critical. Some played really encouraging games. Some can improve, of course. But as a core, I want to see them work really well as a core group and not so much as looking at them as individuals.
Just before we go, Shorey, your article on Wednesday, what are you taking a look at this week?
Well, I'm no Darcy Parish. And when I came to Essendon at 17, it was one of the great learning experiences for me and one of the great moments in my life. So I'm going to roll back the history books and look at what it was like at Essendon for a young bloke coming in the 70s and what Essendon means to you.
We look forward to that, Shorey. Thanks a lot for your time, mate.
Thanks, Simon.